So just so you guys, you see a video probably approximately 10 to 15 minutes now, him building the PC. Yeah, it took him forever. 5 hours. And it's not even a custom loop.
What's going on, everyone? It has been quite a while since I've reviewed or built in an NZXT case. The last one we did, I believe, was the H500i. I think we also built an H200i. And then the S340 Elite before that, and then the S340. Now the S340 Elite I thought was a really great revision of an already great kind of mid-tower, mid-size ATX tower, if you will. And I feel like the H500 is the next logical step in the S340 lineup, right? So obviously it's not keeping the S name, switching over to the H series from NZXT, but it does have a lot of those S340-ish features, and that's why I'm so interested in building in this one and giving you guys kind of a thorough review of the chassis. So what we're gonna do is talk about the case's features and also building it with these parts here. So we have a Z370 platform. We're gonna use an Asus motherboard, an 8700K, a straight Power 11 power supply from Be Quiet. We have a an RTX 2060, and then we have a 500 gig SSD, and then some other NZXT goodies to make our case, our entire build, look rather pretty. So starting first with a few of this case's features, again, very similar to the S340 Elite. I'm gonna put the glass panel on so you can see how easy that is to install. I really like what NZXT's done here. All you have to do is slide the panel into kind of the basement roof, if you will. There's a part of this that sticks out just a little bit. It's a perfect lip for this glass panel to slide in. And then all you gotta do is press it against the chassis. It clicks into place, and then you have one thumb screw up here. It's captive, so it doesn't leave. And you just screw everything into place like so. Very simple installation, only one screw again, and it's a thumb screw, so you really don't need a tool other than your fingers. So again, this tempered glass panel doesn't go all the way down. You do have the basement protruding, so it does comprise part of the left side panel. But I want to talk next about the inside. We have these again. These are modular SSD trays. That's a nice addition. Kind of lets you be flexible with where you want to put these. You can just snap them into place, move them wherever you want, or just take them out outright if you're not feeling the basement mounted SSD thing. We'd also have a dedicated VGA supplemental power cable cutout here, which is great for running cables to the graphics card. You don't have to worry about stuffing them further back in the case. Just having the cables hang across the entire GPU shroud really doesn't look all that appealing, so this cutout is nice to see. We also have the famous or infamous, depending on how you look at it, cable shroud, and this cable bar is actually a good touch in this case. It's not overwhelming like it was in the H700i, and I'm glad that they kept it kind of subtle the same way that the S340 had this. It actually kind of extends over the basement as well, but again, it's very secluded. It's pressed basically against the roof of the basement, so it's not going to get in the way. There's space up front for up to a 280mm fan radiator combo, which is great. There is no way to extend that further down though, so only up to a 280. You will not have 360mm rad or fan support at the front. Top of the case is pretty straightforward, just two USB 3 ports. Actually, a subtle detail here that NZXT hit on was the purple accents. It looks like purple unless I'm colorblind. USB 3 ports. That's kind of cool. Purple is NZXT's color, if you guys don't know that already. We have a headphone jack, microphone jack, we have a hard drive or just a drive LED indicator, and then also a power button with an LED ring around it. That's pretty much it for the first half of the case. I don't recommend placing a radiator up here. It's gonna be pretty tight. It might conflict with some motherboards if they have especially beefy heat sinks. Other than that though, pretty much bare. You're not gonna have 280mm or 240mm fan rad support up top, mainly because of the cable bar. So that's a trade-off with a lot of NZXT cases. It's not gonna hurt too much though, unless you're really going for like an all-out custom water-cooled build. You probably want a different case than this one anyway. Now to the right side of the case, it's kind of a mixture, a blend if you will, of the H700i or the HI series and the S340 Elite. So you do have these cable channels here, which are good for routing things like your USB 3 2.0, some fan cables. Not the best though for the 24 pin. These channels are kind of small for a lot of those cables, and if you have custom extensions or just full-on custom cables, it's really going to be tough to get all these to fit in here. So you might just want to stick to using the cable bar for that route, and then using these for the smaller cables like the fan cables and USB 3 or 2. Right side panel installation is a little unorthodox, but it's actually pretty cool how they've done this. So a lot of those, you know, cheaper cases, you have to slide the panel on from the back. That can be difficult to do when you have a lot of cables back here. So what NZXT's done instead, they've included little notches toward the front, and basically the entire panel acts like a door, kind of like it's hinged, and all it does is swing into place from the rear. Use the 2 captive thumb screws to secure it, and you are good to go. So it's not gonna simplify the process by any means, at least when it comes to the time it takes, but it will make kind of pushing all those cables against the rear of the motherboard tray a lot easier by nature of its design. Last few things to touch on, we have the hard drive cage. It supports 2 hard drives. It can be slid further toward the back, so depending on how much space you have, how big your power supply is, this is pretty flexible, and you can slide it on the bottom. It's just screwed into place with 4 Phillips screws. And then the power supply side does have a dust filter that is removable from the back. That's, again, pretty straightforward, fairly conventional. I do want to swing to the back just for a second so you guys can see this is a 7 PCIe slot case, so it's by definition a mid-tower. No dedicated bracket, which means you're going to install the power supply from the right side. That's okay. The bracket was a nice touch. It allowed you to load things in from the back, but it means that you don't have to funnel your cables through here as well, which was an issue with the cases with dedicated brackets. So I don't mind missing that, but you do have the mounting points again, like most cases do. You have a PCIe bracket shield. I don't know what you really want to call this. A lot of the more expensive cases have this, so it's nice to see in the H500. And then we have 2 120mm fans. I'm not going to talk too much about these. We're actually going to swap these out. They're not very great. They do get kind of loud, and they don't have PWM support. So NZXT is just saying, hey, if you don't want to spend extra money, we got 2 cheaper fans in here. But obviously, if you want something that's quieter, that's going to have PWM support, you're going to want to swap these out, definitely. Now, the H500 does have a dedicated standoff to kind of guide the motherboard into place. So you don't need to put a screw here. You just need to line this up with the hole on the motherboard, and you'll be ready to go. Also, something that I'm really glad NZXT included were these zip ties. These are really nice. If you want to be very particular about your cable management at the rear, then you're going to want a lot of these, and NZXT includes a lot of these, so good on NZXT for this. I really like this. Let's see, we have HD audio, we have a USB 3 cable, and we have front panel. Oh wow, okay, so this is cool. So this cable is, I'm not sure what it's including. It looks like it's including a power LED cable set, also a power switch, and the hard drive LED cable set. All in one header. Check that out. That's super cool. So that means we don't have to worry about the nitpicking, the very fine wiring with those small little cables. Wow, look at that. I've never installed front panel cables any easier than what I did just there. I hope more case manufacturers do this. Now usually you want to install the CPU cooler before you actually get the motherboard in the case, but we got a big cutout here at the back of the H500. Just gonna slide this in, and we can install the rest by laying down the case. Another thing I just noticed, there's a super large cable cutout hole here for routing any cable that you want to be wrapped around the back of the motherboard from the top, which is really convenient. There's not just like a small hole here. So to remove and install this fan bracket up front, it's pretty straightforward, similar to how you would deal with a top mounted bracket. You just have to get it into position, and then captive thumb screws again. Oh, I love captive thumb screws. You can secure it like so. And again, you have to do this because you can't remove that front panel. It's completely bolted down to the rest of the chassis. So you have to have that bracket there. NZXT thought of that. That's good. And we have those 2 120s up front now. You know, honestly, I can't believe NZXT trusted me with another Hue product. After the last time, basically blew up 2 power supplies thinking that the Hue Plus was at fault. Definitely wasn't. Whoa, this is magnetic. That's really cool. You could mount it anywhere. Yeah, I'm just gonna put my Hue 2 right there. It's all good. Or I'm gonna put it on the outside of my case just like that. Or really anywhere. All right. I'm a little too intrigued by something this simple. Hey, you got a piece of fuzz. Thank you. All right, now just finishing up cable management here on the right side. I want you guys to see, you really took your time, how pretty you can make this look. Several tie points, especially toward the front. Definitely glad that we have this much space between the PSU and the hard drive cage. I kind of just stuffed all the extra cables underneath here, and it kind of looks, I don't know, I think it looks decent considering I'm not like, you know, picking out cables that are, you know, a certain size. So with any remaining cables, you just have to kind of figure out where they go. Let's do the right side panel test. We just squeeze it on like so. Piece of cake. That hinge definitely helps. Yeah, I could tell this would have been a bit more difficult if we had to just slide it toward the front in a conventional case. And there we go. Everything is all tucked in. It's a very nice install. I like that idea. Glad NZXT went with that for this case. Now, the last thing we need to do, I'll show you guys the front here, is install the graphics card. So I have the supplemental VGA cable hanging out here. It's just a single 8-pin. And I have the Hue 2 here, as well as the solid state drive. Everything else is in place, I believe. So let's get the graphics card installed. Okay, good to go there. And let's connect this. Actually, interesting enough, there is not a connection on this side. We actually have it back there. We've definitely got some slack. So I'll plug that in. See if we can stuff the rest of this cable in. We're not using custom cables, so I'm trying my best here to make do with the stock cable kit, but they are black sleeved, so that helps with this scheme. Now, if you notice, we haven't installed RAM yet, and that's because I'm not sure what kit we're gonna use. Yeah, I mean, we could go with something just bare bones, black, but I think this needs to be a little more over the top. This is a 3600 megahertz kit, and 32 gigabytes in total. Overkill for most gamers. We're just gonna fill up all 4 slots. More of an aesthetic thing at this point. So I think it looks pretty clean. This cable here is kind of pissing me off, but there's really nothing we can do about it. It's just kind of hanging there. I think a second card would look really nice. It'd fill up that extra space. But anyway, all right, let's power this thing on and see what it looks like. There you go. Ease of installation. It's a lot better than the 4 thumb screws on the corners. Let's cross the fingers. Hey! Oh, I think that's normal. I hope it's normal. The only thing is we can't change the G-force color, so I think we're just gonna have to go with a white and green color scheme. Which, that's fine. I'm not upset with that. But yeah, aesthetically, everything looks good in the build. Another thing I really like about this case is the fact that the tempered glass panel is pretty much like 100% transparent. There's no tint to it, and that's a pet peeve of mine. When you have a really dark tinted glass panel, you can't really see the components inside, just the LEDs. So in this case, you can really see all the components, especially with an RGB strip in there and RGB fans. So let's get the colors coordinated, and then we'll take a few more B-roll shots and we'll conclude the video.
So just so you guys, you know, you see a video probably approximately 10 to 15 minutes now, him building the PC. Yeah, it took him forever. 5 hours. And it's not even a custom loop.
Okay, so everything is up and running. I've already installed Windows 10, installed all the drivers. I even installed Cam because I wanted to use the Hue 2 and control the CryoRig H7 Quad Lumi. I also wanted to control the RGB strips. I could do that up front, but now that I bring the PC over here, I can't even open the software. I double click the icon, nothing happens. It's not running in Task Manager. Even if I go into the root file folder and try to open it that way, nothing. So I have to reinstall Cam. It's not the most mature software in that sense. So the struggle with Cam is real, but the struggle with the H500 is non-existent. This is actually a very easy case to build in. I am very impressed with the overall quality of the case, and I looked up the price. Around 70 bucks. It's a really good deal for this. I would say this is probably the best case in its category so far that I've built in. So that's my take on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like, I don't know, it's a different type of video, and I just wanted to be a little different this time and give you guys a different perspective. I wanted to build in it firsthand and tell you how I just fared, I guess, during the process. So if you want to see something like this in the future, let me know in the comments below. I'll appreciate all the feedback that you guys give, negative or positive. I'll be sure to check it all out because we're going to get serious about case reviews in 2019, setting up a few contracts. We're going to try to be very consistent with how we do things. I did not address airflow, and that's because I'm saving that for a separate video, although there are a few other tech tubers who have already covered the airflow properties of this case. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but it'll do for a $70 case. That's how I see it. So if you guys like this case, like the video, let me know by giving this one a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thumbs down for the opposite, or if you hate everything about life, guys, click that red subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is Pcie Studio. Thanks for building with us.